What's going on, guys? Hopefully everyone had a wonderful weekend. We're back here with another video this week. Today we're going to be taking a look at an in-game analysis between the Blitz rewards and the amount of time that we spend. So in this video I'll be using my team as examples to kind of project these, basically project how I kind of perceive these rewards and obviously the amount of time I spend on it as well here. But again, hopefully you guys find this useful, and obviously that's going to change depending on where you guys are in the game. If you're if you're new and you've got low, starting team powers, or you've got low character counts, or if you're mid-game or late-game players and you've got lots of characters, big team powers, obviously that's going to change depending on where you are in the game. But hopefully you guys find this analysis helpful and useful. So let's get right into it. So why do we care? Well, with Blitz, specifically in the last couple weeks here, I mean, we've had Strife just this week, or I guess last week, this week, that sort of thing. We've also had Mr. Sinister, and we've had Hela in the past. So obviously the exclusive release of these characters. Not to mention in the past, I mean, Cable, they had released early. They also released Vision when before he was farmable. And again, this is it's free to play. It's accessible to us, it's a nice way for them to kind of give access to these characters. It's always kind of, in my opinion, it is a grind fest. That's my personal opinion. But if you're smart with it and you use your time efficiently, I do see that it is quite a powerful asset to the game. And I know with a lot of other games out there, I mean, they don't even need to do that. I know in Contest of Champions, it's a much worse grind fest there. I've played that game and it's brutal. It's insane. This is a lot more mild in that sense, especially because we have auto playing. So there's that caveat. Otherwise, I mean, it can be challenging and fun, and I do like, trying out with new teams, messing around with new characters, and it's nice, you know that, if there's certain milestones or ranking points that you can reach, that certain characters are within your reach. And to me, that's really nice, because if you're free to play, you don't have to spend money to get access to these awesome characters. So just in the past here, I mean, we've had Strife, we just had Hela, and then we just had Mr. Sinister. So I mean, just really nice access, and we don't have to be spending or forking any cash over the game for that. So we'll leave it at that. So before we get into it, let's take a look at the rewards. So essentially with ranking characters, I mean, we all know that in the game here, every character goes up to 7 stars. And in order to rank them up, you need cumulative shards. So on the right side there, you'll see 15, 45, 100, 180, etc. That's basically how many total shards you need, so you can just basically rank them up. For example, in this recent Blitz, we had Strife. You need 45 shards to at least unlock him. And by that time, you'll have him ranked at level 2 once you get him unlocked. Now, with regards to that ranking, every Blitz, there's always these ranking rewards as well here. And as you can see here, rank number 1 gives you a whopping 295 shards. And then it goes, gradually down from there, 2 to 15, 16 to 100. And then they recently changed it to the top 2,000 now. In the past, it was top 1,500. That was really nice. And then as the percentages go, they actually broke it down from 1 to 2%, 3 to 5, etc. This used to be 1 to 10%, which is, again, another nice addition that they've made to the game. So obviously they have made changes to that have made it even more accessible to the free to play community base. And that's really nice of them to do that. So I just figured I'd show you guys this, so that way you guys have an early look at this, so you know what we're up against. Moving on. Casino, again, it's not just him, but the guys behind his team that are always involved every week with these predictions. We would all be lost without you guys. So I gotta give these guys a shout out. They do these rankings every week, and I've got my results here just from this current Blitz to kind of just show you guys the accuracy of it. So again, I know for myself, I was pushing in the top 100. That's what I wanted to do, and I know for a fact that some of those predictions, we've consistently hit them, or sometimes the predictions are a bit off, depending on, if there's a surge of players, and if the character is, obviously everyone wants access to this new character. There is a bit of, inflation sometimes associated. So keep that in mind. Usually my rule of thumb is, push 1 or 2 mil higher than what the predictions are, and you should be in a good error of margin there for that. So again, with this one, aiming for the top 100, they had predicted it to kind of be in that ballpark of the 23 million mark. And again, with mine, I kind of pushed for 24.4 because I was just going for a little cushion. And as you guys see there, I ranked number 76 there for the rewards, and I got the 110 shards, which is perfect. That's where I kind of knew I would be placed. And again, that's just showing you guys again here, just the accuracy of it. If you guys aren't already on his Discord, it's great. You can, look for alliances. You can recruit people. You can look for, there's a lot of great infographics on there as well. And not to mention this Blitz prediction one, which is really helpful in terms of, if you guys are just curious as how far these rankings are. And this actually plays a really important part later on in the video here. So again, just shout out to these guys. You guys do amazing job every week. We really appreciate you guys doing that. Oh, and I guess I should have mentioned that there's this note back here. Sorry, guys. Per Blitz session, I mean, I get about 850 to 1.1 points per session. So that's every time those 2-hour resets go. That's how much I get. How did I calculate this rate? I basically just did like 5 Blitz sessions and I averaged those rates up. And that's kind of the number I came across. So on odd Blitz days that you don't really care about, so, the Red Star Orbs, the Orb Madness, Sundays or whatever you want to call them, Mondays when the Blitz refreshes. I think there's a Night Nurse Blitz coming based off of the MSF updates. But again, just on those rando blitzes that you don't care about, you can basically just kind of experiment and see where you kind of end up and see how many points you can get. I am pretty late game. I think I'm 722 days or something in. So I'm pretty late game. But again, I'm 100% free to play. And that's the roster I've built up. So again, that's going to change depending on where you are in the game. If you're early, if you're mid, if you're late, that number is going to fluctuate. But the important thing is trying to figure out how much you can get per session. And this is not including any of my Blitz refreshes. So you want to do this, just go experiment it and see how many you can do with all the characters you have access to that can win up in those higher tiers. So again, we're going to have this back to back here, and we already jumped ahead on this, but first thing is the 2-starring. So this is actually really easy. So with most characters, like recently, they've had most of them at the 2-star mark, which is really nice because even when you're not trying, you can pretty much have access to these characters. You get about 21 shards just from the milestone rewards alone. So those are the ones where you're hitting 750,000 points, and most people are doing it anyways because they want all the gold. If you're strapped for gold, that's the best way to, that's one of the best ways to earn extra gold in the game. And on top of that, you get Blitz credits, you get Blitz, you get the health packs in there, and you get the Blitz, I guess the credits as well for your Alliance Wars, Blitz characters, stores, stuff, whatever, all that good stuff. And just from doing the milestone awards alone, you get about 21. Now, usually with new characters, so like Mr. Sinister, Hela, we always get back-to-back blitzes. So in that time, that means in total, you can get 42 out of that necessary 45 that you need. So essentially, you only need 3 shards. So once you get about the 750,000, if you're hitting all those milestones anyways, you're going to rank approximately in that 26 to 60 range just based off the predictions alone. So we're using this week's, and it's Strife. So again, if you hit around that, that 750 mark, you're getting past that predictions that Casino and his team had already predicted. So again, you're going to be getting those 15 shards for that reward. So again, that's almost guaranteeing you a 2-star just from doing those milestones alone. So again, that's assuming you guys can get the 750,000 points. If you can't, try to push higher. Obviously, it's it's one of those goals that I had when I was starting out as well here, and definitely for sure working up your team, getting teams up, getting that team power up, and aiming for those 2-star rewards. 750 was basically one of my early goals, just to kind of get all the rewards. And I know gradually as the game goes, it does get easier. So guys, it's the game's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's meant to be played long term. So just take your time with it. And those are basically one of the early starting goals that I had when I first started playing the game. Next off is 3-starring. So again, 3-starring, it's a little bit more effort. With this one, you need 100 shards to basically 3-star. So again, we're going to count that extra 42 that we get from the milestones alone. So that means in total, we're missing 58 shards. With 58 shards, that means we need to rank at least in that 6 to 10% range. And again, if you guys look down at the predictions by Casino and his team, you'll see that you need at least, around that 2.5 3 to 2.5 million mark. So for me, obviously, I just told you guys how much I get per Blitz session. So obviously you guys can tell right off the bat there with 2.4, 2.5 mil, that's not going to be that difficult for me to hit, even on the same day. So usually in the same day, I actually average between 8 to 10 mil on the day the Blitz actually comes out. So that's just, that's just how many characters I have unlocked, and that's just the amount of character strengths, team powers that I have as well. So that's going to change depending on where you are in the game. But again, like I said, doesn't take much effort for me, but that may be different depending on where you are in the game as well. But again, if you guys can see here, just figure out how much you can get per Blitz session, and then you can figure that out. Oh, if I get, instead of getting 850 per session, maybe I get 200,000 per session. So that means, if you do it 4 times, 5 times in a day, you would get that 1 mil. And then if you do it 4 or 5 times the next day, then you get that other mil, and then you can get the rest on the last day. And again, guys, that's not including refreshes. Refreshes obviously help amp up the process as well here. So remember to factor that in. So again, that's why calculating your Blitz sessions is so important. So that way you can kind of figure out, is hitting that 6 to 10% reasonable? Is it within my grasp? Is it within that striking distance? So figure that out. Next off, we've got the 4-star. This is kind of the one where I've kind of sit around the most. Again, we need 180 shards, quite a bit more. We do have that extra 42, like I said, that comes from the milestone. So that makes us, short by 138 shards, which isn't too bad. Again, if we look at the rewards, we need at least in the top 2,000. And again, thank you, Fox Next, because they did rework it and they did give an extra 500 people for that ranking. So that's really nice, and it's helped out. I feel like it's helped out a ton of people in the game here. I mean, Reddit's, most people are generally, it's a general positive change in the game, because again, they're trying their way to kind of, make more access of these characters to the community base. So that's really nice. And again, with top 2,000, we're aiming quite a bit more, and we're almost looking at 5 times, 6 times the rate of the previous rewards. So again, we need at least, and just based on predictions here, 11 to 6 million to 13.9. So again, that's going to be depending on where you are in the game. For me, that's not very difficult as well. Like I said, I usually hit about 8 to 10 mil in my first day that the Blitz launches. So usually that's average for me. And like I said, with those Blitz sessions, just with the refreshes, they really help amp up the process as well. So again, just figuring out what's actually doable. And this is really nice because of the fact that it unlocks 4 stars, and you can start using these characters in those Red Star Sundays. I also find that 4 star is nice because it's, they are significantly stronger than the 3 stars, but at the same time, obviously it'd be nice if they could be a 5 or a 6 star, but 4 star is actually pretty good, especially if you're free to play like myself and you have access to these exclusive characters. I mean, people have to spend $60 or $70 just to get some of these characters at 3 or 4 stars when the game first has these offers on these characters. So like Hela, Mr. Sinister. So you're getting access to basically a $70, $60 offer right here if you can basically push far enough in Blitz. Next, we've got 5-star. I'm not going to talk too much about this one because of the fact that, there's a typo there. You need 310 shards, not 180. That's a typo. But again, you get that 42 out of 45, so you're missing 268 shards. And again, as you guys can see here, you basically have to push into the top 15. You either need to be first place or you need to be in the top 15. And as you guys see there, it's 32 mil to 35. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is very, very difficult to do. Even for myself, where I can pretty much get about 8 to 10 mil in a day, this actually is very difficult. I've pushed as high as 31 and I fell flat. I think I got like 32 or something, 33. So again, these ones are very competitive because even these rates at the top, people are just pushing as hard as they can because they want to 5-star their characters. Very unrealistic, especially if you're free to play. If you're using power cores, that might be a different story. But again, I only try to use my refreshes. I save my power cores for all the other good stuff. But again, this is definitely doable, but very, very strenuous. I know compared to the previous 4-star one, you got to be doing this every 2 hours. At least with 4-star, I can, I have a bit of cushion. I usually go hard the first couple days, and then the last day I just coast. So again, this is very difficult, and I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but for sure, For me, this is probably something I'd like to do later on once my teams are a lot bigger. Once I get my Sinister 6, Fantastic 4, and some of the Asgardians up now, since they've got they're coming out with Heimdall and they're coming out with Sif. But maybe once those guys are up and I got more juice, and maybe I can get, maybe instead of 850,000 per session, maybe if I can guarantee at least 1.5 mil or something like that, then maybe I'll take a look at looking at trying to aim for this. But again, this is very difficult to do and definitely not worth the time investment. We're going to go back to the 3-star one. This is definitely the best value. So if you're free to play, this one doesn't require too much effort. It does involve obviously some effort. The 2-star, as you guys saw, barely requires any effort. If you're hitting that 750, you're gonna be guaranteed at least a 2-star. So if you're already hitting 750, why not just go the extra mile and try to aim for that 2? So again, you're aiming for the 100 shards. You're missing about 50 some shards. So basically, you want to push. Basically 500,000 to 800,000 per day. So that way you can get at least within that 2.3 mil striking distance. So again, it requires a bit of effort, but with 1440 refreshes that you get, if you're saving 500 before the Blitz starts, and then you're using those refreshes each day, and then you're also using the daily challenges, that gives you a total of 1,440 Blitz refreshes to use. And essentially that gives you about approximately 58 times that you can refresh a character at 25 cost. 58 times, if you're averaging, 50,000, just straight off the math there, I mean, that's pretty much 3 mil. So 3-4 mil right off the bat, based on my numbers. So again, just figure out what you're doing, save your Blitz refreshes, and 3-starring is very doable. 4-star is probably something I would say is more end game towards the free-to-play players. This is something that obviously I've kind of coasted now. I can consistently hit this without even trying. It's sometimes on the weekends I'm busy, I don't have time for it. I can still coast by. Usually I hit top 100, even when I'm not even trying to hit top 100. It just happens. And it just from me auto blitzing. Most of the time I just auto blitz, and if I lose, I lose. I just go to the next team and I just hit auto play again, and then I'm just studying or I'm YouTubing or whatever, and then I'm like, holy crap, I'm already at 15 mil or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I'll just keep going. So again, you can really coast by depending on how much you figure out, how much you get on your Blitz sessions. And like I said, this is probably more towards end game for you guys. And definitely the best value is the 3-starring. 4-starring is definitely something to kind of keep your eyes on the horizon about. And we'll finish off with a recap here. So most importantly, just trying to figure out how much you get on a Blitz session. So that's probably, if you guys would take anything from this video, that's probably the most important tidbit. Just figuring out how much you can get, and that way you can kind of calculate those rates. Using those breakpoints in casinos, his rankings and his team, those breakpoints really help, because then you can figure out what you need to push for, how much you need to push for, and then from that point on, you can figure out how much you need. So again, if you're aiming for Strife, and I think it was like 2.5 mil or whatever, and you're averaging about, let's say, what's doable, let's say you're getting 250,000 per session. Well, for a fact that you got to do that at least 4 times, and then you'll get a mil. So if you do that 4 times one day, 4 times day number 2, so that's 2 mil right there. And then day number 3, you could just do it 2 or 3 times or whatever, and you can get it there. Alternatively, if you know that you get 250,000 per session, and you're also doing the Blitz refreshes, every character team can be refreshed 3 times. And usually if you have 1,440 refreshes, well, that's probably going to be able to push your team up to 2 mil without even trying. And usually, I know players don't have an issue hitting that 750 mark, especially if you're mid to late game. That's usually pretty easy. So if you're already hitting that 750 mark, why not just push the extra mile, hit that 3-star mark, and then you've got a nice 3-star, Strife, Dr. Sinister, that sort of thing. Sorry, Mr. Sinister, that sort of thing. So again, guys, hopefully you guys found this useful. And as always, guys, thank you for watching, and happy gaming.